Next up is to talk about title cards. Now, as you saw, we kind of use these temporary title cards as placeholders to keep track of the main chapters of our YouTube video. Now, I'd love to have some type of title card for the audience and the viewer that explains where we're at in the process, but these little guys down here at the bottom, it's just not cutting it for me. So I want to explain how to really update and make these look better. Now, the easy way would be to kind of go in here and, center it maybe, scale things up, and just make it feel a little bit more professional with maybe changing up the font. I know a good font is Lotto. I use this one a lot, and that looks a little bit better, but I'm really not happy with it. But something that will help when you're using kind of big title card like this is to kind of turn the exposure down of the background so that the font stands out more. Now, that's still not cutting it for me. We could spend a little bit more time on this, the typography of this, really making it look good and making the spacing look good. But, I'd really recommend putting some time into going online and finding some motion graphic templates. And there's so many out online that are free that you can buy for a few dollars. I've collected some that I really like over the years, and it's just something that takes time to kind of build up the stuff that you like to use. So there is this essential graphics window that I mentioned earlier in the course that there are some templates that your editing software will come with, but I do have some favorites that I have saved that I use for a lot of my projects. So I'm going to grab one of those that I use a lot, and I'm going to show you how to put together and really whip up a really quick, good looking motion graphic or title card for your video. So out of the ones that I really like, I'm just going to kind of grab a random one here, and I'm going to drag it down into the timeline, and I'm going to turn off the footage below it so that we can really just clearly see what we're looking at here. So if I select this graphic, we can see text on line 1, traditions is there. Text on line 2, this is just automatically what it comes saying. I don't know why it's talking about Japanese tea ceremonies, but okay. Now I'm going to look back here. Okay, so step 7, start the build. Let's see how we can put that into the template that we're using. And this is going to work for any template that you use. You want to find a cool way to display the information that you want to have on screen. So I'm going to type in step 7. And you can use a number. Maybe that looks cooler. But honestly, in this kind of scenario, I'm going to spell out the number, and I'm going to say start the build because that's the name of the step. And this one and yours as well that you use, whatever kind it is, it's going to have like different parameters. This one has like a gradient parameter, but I want all of the text in here to be white with no gradient. So you can see with the gradients, there's those different shades of white. Without the gradients, no different shades. And I don't need all these kind of like geometry thingamajigs, but I do like when it comes in that type of animation. So I'm going to cut out the beginning kind of overly geometry kind of things. And I'm going to scoot it to where we want it to start. I'm going to cut it where we want it to end. I'm going to get rid of the old one. Actually, I'm going to keep the old one so we can see it before and after. And I'm going to turn back on our bottom layer. Now I'm going to turn on the safe margins kind of overlay. It just pops up basically this wireframe just so I can really get our graphic centered, because sometimes that's hard. So I'm looking at these horizontal dashes and then these vertical ones, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, put that in the center, and then that in the center. I feel like the step 7 thing is a little bit high, so we could scale this up. And then I want to bring down, yeah, okay. Bring that down, scooch it over, and we're starting to look pretty good. Now we could take this off, see how it looks. And now that we've done that, it's time to second guess all the decisions we made up to this point. But we don't have a whole lot of time for that because now it is our building process. This is where we get to lifting. Okay, cool. So I like that. That's a lot better than that. Okay, we're making progress. What I do want to add though is I really like this intro animation. Oh, let me mute that. I really like this intro animation. Now, because it just disappears, it doesn't look as cool, right? So what I want to do is grab this clip, hold Alt. I guess I'm a really fan of holding Alt and dragging clips because it's just such an easy way to duplicate a clip without clicking it, Command C, clicking somewhere else, Command V. You can click and drag it wherever you want, and it's just great. So we're going to click this duplicate, and what I did, I just duplicated the front. So, but there's a problem. It's like, that's not what we want. So what we do want is to right click the clip. We're going to reverse the direction so that the beginning animation is now the ending animation of it going away. Okay. And sometimes to smooth things out a little bit, this is kind of a weird cut. It's a little bit of a jump cut. So we'll fix that. But it's kind of cool if you overlap whatever animation you do put on the screen a little bit over the next cut. So I'm actually going to fix this jump cut because it makes it hard. It's distracting. So we're just going to scale this up. That'll kind of take away our jump cut. Okay. And now, boom, the animation comes in. And then, boom, the animation goes away. But you see how it overlaid on the next one? That kind of just meshes everything together. This is a clean cut without the overlay or, the lag actually. And then this is with it going over, which is funny that you would think that that would make it bad, but it actually works really well. I do that a lot with animation, so we can even do it to the beginning. Boom. So it comes in on the last shot and overlays versus the clean cut. So it's a kind of an aesthetic decision. There's no right or wrong. They both look good, but I kind of like that look instead. Now, the other thing is because these two shots are so similar, but there's an exposure change between here. The opacity is at 70%. Here it's at 100. Let's kind of do a ramp up so that it's more gradual. Zoom. Okay, I like that. Okay, now let's do the same process to our next, oh God, our next overlay. You see how this looks so rinky dinky down here in the bottom? We're gonna fix that. So I'm gonna highlight what we just created, hold Alt, which you know is my favorite thing to do by now. I'm gonna put it in place and I'm going to turn down the opacity of the clips below it so that our motion graphic stands out a little bit more. And I'm going to change this to step 8. And I'm going to change this to paint and style. Now, because this next clip is a separate cut that we did, we're going to have to change the writing as well. So I'm going to copy that, go here, paste it here, and let's check it out. And voila, step 8, paint and style. Let's actually see what it's like with the audio. It's on in the background to see how things are starting to come together, which leads us to our painting and styling phase. This is where we get to use a green tapey thing to tape up all the bits of the wall that we don't want to get. Okay, so that's starting to really come together. Now I'm going to do the same process for the other chapter titles of this video, and then we're going to continue to upgrade our YouTube video. So look at this thing. We're really starting to build a proper complex edit here. Now, next thing that I want to hop into is refining this final sequence that we have. Now, I'm going to let this play through. It's like 45 seconds. And I want you to tell me if you can tell, if you can see what you think we're going to refine in this part. And as a little bit of a bonus final touch, I added some PVC pipes to hide the cables. Get that off of here. Oh, yeah, okay. And I added some artwork on the walls. Replaced my more bulky professional tripod with a much slimmer, small footprint tripod. Hid all these extra cables. God knows we needed to do that. And added these super cool LED strips that allows for me to change the feeling and the vibe of the room at one click of the button. So there you have it. All of our hard work has paid off. This is what we started with. And let's see that beautiful before and after shot. Woo, baby. That is a work of art right there. I completely love how this space came together. All the little details were perfect. I really enjoy working in here. I really enjoy editing in here. And I really enjoy just chilling in this space. So I hope this video really gave you some insights. And so I hope that you're seeing what I'm seeing. All these shots are great, right? But they're shaky as hell. I mean, I hope you can see this through your screen because it's pretty clear on mine. I mean, like this shot, you see that? Oh god. Yeah, when you full screen it, you can really see it. So when people are watching it full screen on their phone, when they're watching it full screen on YouTube or whatever it is, the warp stabilization and the stabilization phase of the editing process is huge. And that's really what's going to make this final montage of all these great shots really come together. So we've done it before, but I wanted to touch on it for this style of video. And I'm going to go ahead and type in warp stabilizer. You can type in whatever kind of stabilization filter your editing software has. And I'm gonna go through here and select all the clips that need it. This one does not. All the ones after it do. This is a tripod shot. There's nothing to stabilize, but all these need help. So I'm going to select all the clips, bada boom, drag that on, and see what else in this montage is going to use some stabilization. That's another tripod shot. It's another tripod. This one definitely. Okay, so all of these. Now we're going to let the filter analyze this footage, and then we're going to go and fine tune the intensity of the filter so that you can't really tell it has a filter on it, but it should just look like a really steady, smooth shot. Okay, now this filter finished analyzing the clips, and apologies, it kind of heated up my computer a little bit, so it's got the fan cranking, and if you hear that in the background, I'm sorry. But let's take a look at these shots. That looks good. Okay, looking good. Print tripod. Hid all these extra cables. God knows we needed to do that. These look great. Normally there's a little bit of warping that you have to take out by decreasing the intensity, but all of these are looking pretty good so far. So there you have it. All of our hard work has paid off. This is what we started with, and let's see that beautiful before and after shot. Woo, baby, that is a work of art right there. I completely love. Okay, this one is having some issues. So let's go ahead and turn it down from 50% to 30%. And let's turn, and I explained this earlier in the course, but yeah, the smoothness is the intensity that the filter is applying and scaling up to remedy the shakiness. Subspace warp is the default. If you're getting too much warping, it looks like the footage is underwater. You can try doing perspective. That's generally what I do, and that does the trick. Still getting a little bit. It doesn't like that. Yeah. See, look here and here. you get these weird wobbles. It's subtle, but in this kind of situation, rather than trying to fine tune it, what you can do is, if you know that the filter is having problems towards the beginning of the clip, go a little bit later, scrub, take it over, and now reanalyze the clip. And now it's not going to have to try to analyze and deal with that really hard part that it's not having an easy time with. So let's check that out. Okay, that looks pretty good. A little bit too much on this one. Put it down to 30. Insights and inspired you to go out and create your own space that's ooh. Yeah, that one's got a little too much. So let's put it on perspective, turn it down. Your own space. Okay, yeah, it's gonna warp. Like I mentioned, it doesn't like stuff in the foreground. I like having stuff in the foreground because it makes a shot more dynamic, but I don't think it's gonna work for this filter. So let's scoot it, reanalyze it. Your own space that's uniquely yours. If you like this video, be sure to check out the rest of my content where I share my other tips and techniques on how to become a better video creator, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, sweet. So I'm not even going to show a before and after of with the stabilization and without, because we already know this looks 1,000 times better, and it's an excellent final step in the refinement process. In the next lesson, I'm going to show you how to, add a little bit of extra oomph on special shots in your edit. And I'm going to show, and the way that I'm going to show you is what I'm trying to say is this transition is really like the money shot of this entire project. So I'm going to show you how to connect your editing software with After Effects in the next lesson. Righto. So we have, like I mentioned, this big shot that's the one of the most important shots of the video. And let's see that beautiful before and after shot. So I want to do like a zoom effect, kind of a swooshy kind of zoom in. I don't know how else to explain it. A zoom effect. So a cool way to do this and really to integrate into After Effects. Now, this is not an After Effects course. It's an entirely other editing software on its own, but it's basically the Photoshop of video. Final Cut, Premiere, iMovie, these are like main editing softwares that are designed to create cuts like what we've done in this chapter. But something like After Effects is really an in-depth editing software that's designed to create very in-depth. Oh God, I'm repeating myself. Okay, let's just get into it. So what I want to do is duplicate the two clips that we're gonna do this effect with, and I'm gonna right-click these clips, and I'm gonna do replace with After Effects composition. This is gonna open up After Effects and create a sequence with these clips that we have. And the benefit to doing it this way is that we don't have to highlight our clips, export them, import them into After Effects, do the editing that we want, export them out of After Effects, and then import them into our editing software. So it's asking me where I want to save this brand new After Effects project. So I'm going to put it in the proper folder. I'm going to title this folder After Effects Transition. And what I want to do to get this swoosh effect is to create a adjustment layer. And this is exactly like the adjustment layers that we've been using in our normal editing software. It's going to create a global effect on whatever's below it. Sorry, I just kind of changed the layout of the windows here, but I'm going to go to the presets and effects tab, and I'm going to take one of my favorite transitions that does kind of that cool swooshy style, and I'm going to drop that onto our adjustment layer. Now, what this is going to do, and by the way, you don't have to use this same exact transition. You can do this, for color correction if you want in After Effects. You can do this for thousands of different things that the After Effects filters can do specifically that Premiere Final Cut can't do. So I'm going to take this filter that I dropped on, and I'm going to really just line up the keyframes to the transition between the two clips, and I'm going to preview what that looks like. So that has the more whoosh, right effect that we're looking for. Of course, I can go in and I can fine tune the zoom, strength, the blur, all that stuff, but this is really not about After Effects. This is just more about the simplicity and the benefit of being able to edit an After Effects sequence that automatically goes to your Premiere timeline without having to import and export. So I hope that you can use that in your future videos and in your YouTube video that you're editing to do some creative stuff and save a little bit of time. And just like that, we made it to the end of our YouTube video edit. So in this learning lesson, I simply just kind of want to sit back and view the work that we put together. So this is not going to be really me doing any kind of lecturing or talking too much. I'm going to sit back and watch this with you. We're going to hit play and we're going to see the edit. And I also queued up the actual timeline. So we'll be able to see what's happening in the final edit on the screen on the top, and then we'll see how that edit was done in the timeline below. So without further ado, let's check out the YouTube video that we created together. Man, I know this doesn't look like much. I know it doesn't sound like much, but I'm gonna show you how I went from taking this studio space like this and made it look like this. Yep, I got a lot of work to do. So let's get right into it. First step you wanna do is choose your filming space. I'm choosing this extra room at my house because I can renovate it. I can move things around. It's a clean slate to work with. I mean, look at it. It's a pretty dang clean slate. Empty walls, empty floor, empty ceiling, everything. Super echoey in here, but we're going to fix that in the later steps. So when you're going and you're choosing your filming space, make sure it's somewhere at your house that's not going to get a lot of extra noise from outside and that you're going to be able to move things around and really make it unique to you. Then we want to gather inspiration. So I pulled 3 creator spaces that I really liked. We got this lightsaber guy. We have this creator that has a really nice, minimal, modern, clean space, but it's a little bit cold. And then we got this guy. I believe his name's Armando. Really cool space, very unique background, excellent lighting. So those were the 3 that I wanted to use and remix into my own space. Next up is our brainstorming and concept creation phase. This is where we're taking the inspiration that we gathered from online, what people are doing, what they're not doing, and we're going to mix that with the space that we chose. So I'm doing a test shot here. I got my camera out with rough framing of what I want the shot to look like, and I'm getting some work done, moving the hands around, busy day here. But the goal of this is to see if the ideas that we came up with are going to work in our space. Next up, we create our purchase list, and we really want to max out our credit cards here because that's going to give us some more motivation to really take our video creativity and career a lot more seriously. Why? Because there's no choice. We got to pay off our debt. No, in all serious here, what we want to do is create a purchase list of all the items we're going to need for our space. I found that the best way to do this is to create 2 columns. One column has all of your equipment list purchases, and then one column has all of your aesthetic list purchases of what's going to go in your space to really give it more style and more character. And that leads us to the Christmas phase. This is going to be where you're at your peak of overwhelm during this process because you're going to end up with a bunch of packages at your house when you don't even really remember what you ordered, but there's just a bunch of boxes. So I use this overwhelm to create a cool little montage with a really pointy object. And after putting any band-aids on from minor cuts and scratches from that last montage, now it is time for our initial test shots and setup phase. So what you want to do is grab your most important equipment. Mine's going to be my key light, my main lighting source, my camera, my desk, and my chair. And I'm going to kind of move things around in my studio to find out what's going to be the best location in the backdrop. So you can continue to move things around, wave your hands around, do a little bit of a dance. And after all that testing, just move things back to where you figured they were going to be in the first place. But now that we've done that, we have our setup ready to go. And all we have to worry about in the future is sitting down and hitting record because we know we're maximizing our space because we did these test shots. And now that we've done that, it's time to second guess all the decisions we made up to this point. But we don't have a whole lot of time for that because now it is our building process. This is where we get to lift things, mark some things, drill some things, use a cool laser thing. And ideally, by the end of this process, we've hung these things on the wall and they are staying on the wall. And voila, there we go. Now we have our shelves in the background and I'm going to put some lights on in the background to see how things are starting to come together. Which leads us to our painting and styling phase. This is where we get to use a green tapey thing to tape up all the bits of the wall that we don't want to get paint on. And now that my room's got a cool kind of Tron vibe, it's time to start the painting process. I went with a matte black because it matches the professional and minimal feeling that I'm going for. And I know with the stuff that I'm going to have on the shelves and the warm lighting that I'm going to have, it's going to really warm up the space and balance out the kind of cold minimalist that just the plain black wall has. But I really feel like these two styling choices are really going to balance out the perfect amount of minimal with warm and inviting. And once you finish painting, you want to pull off your green tapey things and put things back on your wall that you had to take off for the painting process. So I put my shelving back on. I'm hanging some new curtains that are blackout curtains. And then we want to put things in the background that match up with our personality, the theme of our videos, and the overall style that we want to go for. So I'm adding these cool lights that match up with my personality, and of course, some vintage cameras and some lenses in the background that also match up with the theme and direction of all my video content. And now that our room is looking pretty damn good, it's time to upgrade it for better sound dynamics. So I'm going to start with taking off this big ceiling fan. And yeah, you can see I'm doing a bang up job there. And now what I'm going to do is add sound paneling to the main walls that's going to be reflecting the most amount of noise. So to get that done, I'm going to tape off all the important things in my room so I know where they go, move them out of the way, get out my sound panels that we ordered back in the Christmas phase, contemplate how the heck I'm going to get this done, and just start slapping some super glue on some cardboard panels and see what happens. Okay, cool. That actually worked pretty well. Now I'm going to measure the walls, find the center, start nailing things in, but yeah, these nails bend, so I'm going to get some different nails. And voila, these nails are keeping my sound panels onto the wall, which is really ideal. And I got super MacGyver-y with these magnets because a part of my wall had this big metal door on it. And we did a great job. These are a thing of beauty. So now it is time to get your audio and microphone dialed in. So the main thing is to get whatever microphone you're using as close to you as possible while you're speaking. Once you've gotten that situated, then we want to move to our settings. Now you always want to have your recorder set to manual and of course set your recording format to the highest quality possible. I use WAV files because it doesn't compress your audio at all, and you want to have your audio levels peaking somewhere between -12 and -6. And a good pro tip is to speak louder than you would normally would on your recording and speak quieter than you normally would when you're setting your levels. That way you have a good range of what the levels are going to be like so you don't mess up your recording and you get the cleanest audio possible. We're doing a pretty dang good job here. And now it is time to dial in our lighting, our camera settings, and our framing. So we're going to start with cutting out our ambient light. That way our main lighting source, which is our key light, is going to start really illuminating our scene. That is what it looks like with the key light without any practicals on in the background. And boom, those practical lights in the background really warm up the space. And to get that more cinematic, kind of dramatic lighting, you want to have your key light at least 45 degrees off to one side of your camera. This is going to create a good amount of shadow on the side of your face opposite of the light. The more shadows, the more dramatic your lighting, and the less shadows, the more of a beauty blogger type of vibe your video is going to have. Next, we want to set our picture profile into our camera to a log profile or a neutral profile. That way, all of our contrast, saturation, sharpness is all the way down, and we can turn it up selectively in post-production. Then we want to set our white balance to the same exact color temperature as our key light and set your frame rate to 24 frames per second and have your shutter speed double that at a 50th of a second. And as a little added bonus, we can add a splash of color in the background. This is going to create a little bit more character and a little bit more personality for our footage. And so to recap, here's how the space looks without any lighting added. Here's how it looks with the practicals in the background, again, that add that character and personality and really warm up the space. And boom, this is how it looks with our key light. And with a little bit of background light that's going to help separate me, the subject, from the background, it's looking really good. But lastly, I wanted to talk about focal length. So here's our shot at 28 millimeters. I really feel that this is the best for YouTube, Instagram, any kind of online content. And here's what it looks like at 24 millimeters. It's okay. I always feel like it's a little bit too wide. The shallower you go with the focal length, the more professional it's going to look. And here's how it looks at 35 millimeters. More depth of field, more narrow of a frame, but a little bit more of a documentary feel. And boom, here's how it looks at 50 mil. This is a great focal length for documentaries and short films, but we really lose the feeling of the background and it doesn't feel as much that we're sitting with the person on camera. And that is why I always go with 28 millimeters for this kind of videos because it's the perfect balance of a professional look while still having a wide enough perspective of the other things that's going on inside the frame. And as a little bit of a bonus final touch, I added some PVC pipes to hide the cables. Get that off of here. Oh, okay. And I added some artwork on the walls, replaced my more bulky professional tripod with a much slimmer, small footprint tripod, hid all these extra cables, God knows we needed to do that, and added these super cool LED strips that allows for me to change the feeling and the vibe of the room at one click of the button. So there you have it. All of our hard work has paid off. This is what we started with, and let's see that beautiful before and after shot. Woo, baby. That is a work of art right there. I completely love how this space came together. All the little details were perfect. I really enjoy working in here. I really enjoy editing in here, and I really enjoy just chilling in this space. So I hope this video really gave you some insights and inspired you to go out and create your own space that's uniquely yours. If you like this video, be sure to check out the rest of my content where I share my other tips and techniques on how to become a better video creator, and I will see you in the next video. Ooh, yes. So I hope that gives you a cool insight into how when you're the viewer watching the final edit, it's like one continuous stream of imagery. But when you actually see the timeline right along with what's actually going on, you see how many cuts and microseconds and little moments and things were created in the post-production process to create that steady stream of content that every video has, or every good video has. So it's been a long journey just for this chapter of this course, but that wraps it up for the YouTube video chapter. And I will see you in the next chapter where we're going to dive into even more intermediate to now expert level editing techniques and topics. I will see you in the next chapter.